It's Thursday, December the 10th. Lake level's about 914. It's been pretty steady there, and water temperature's kind of all over the place. It's actually been warming up quite a bit the last few days. But it seems like it's 52 to 53 on the main lake. If you get up into the Kings River or up in Upper James or Long Creek, you'll see some high 40-degree water temperature. But I got a special guest here with me, and we're actually down here at Chalet on the Lakes at Table Rock Lake, and I've got Justin McClellan with me, and we're fishing a little event down here. What do we got, 9 boats?
9 boats.
I'll let Justin tell us who all we've got down here fishing in the group. And
so we come down here to have a sales meeting this year, and got several, Missouri pro anglers and then regional anglers from the Ozarks area. We also got the national sales manager for Spro Gamakatsu here, and then the head man for Spro Gamakatsu here. Getting to test, what's really cool about this is we're getting to test a lot of new baits. Some are available just now, some are getting ready to come out. So we're getting able to test a lot of really neat baits.
A lot of the fish we caught, today were on prototype baits, and Justin's a good one to be telling us what's going on because he just happens to be leading the tournament today with 18.
I think we had 1855. We had a 6.20 big fish. So we had a good day out there.
Yeah, in the fishing, we're going to make it sound like it's easy because you and I, we were talking throughout the day, and I know we probably had like 35 keepers today, and I think you had the same.
But I'd say we had 35 or 40 keepers today. What's crazy about this is, and I think Pete would testify to this, is how much having Garmin Live Scope on your boat makes a difference right now.
We talk about it all the time, and you hear other people talking about it, that I wouldn't have caught these fish without Live Scope, but there's no doubt that we wouldn't have caught a lot of these fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's crazy is how deep they are.
Well, I've never seen them this deep, so many of them, and, we talked about the conditions today, and how many fish we caught. I've been struggling 3 or 4 days up to the event. I had a couple places I found groups of deep fish, and they seem like they're in the center of the guts. And I know if you see on Facebook, a lot of the other guys are catching them the same way in the center of these deep guts. But it's crazy. They're 40 to 65 foot deep, and they're largemouths.
Yeah, absolutely. I know yesterday, just out practicing, in a sense, for this deal, we caught a couple that were even down at 80, 80 foot deep. And personally, I've never caught one that deep until yesterday. And that 620 today, she come out of 70 foot of water. So, there's a lot of fish out there if you can find them. I think the big key is finding the shad. If you see the shad, typically there's been fish around them. And once you get them kind of fired up, I'm not going to say easy to catch, but
when you get in the right area, it's definitely easy.
It definitely seems easy.
But when it stops, it gets tough. And like today, there wasn't a breath of wind out there. So I know myself, I had zero confidence in going to the bank and throwing a crankbait. And who's in second place? Your dad?
Yeah, Mike McClellan.
Mike McClellan.
Yeah, Mike McClellan's in second.
And he caught everything on a Spro.
Rock crawler, an RK55 and Phantom Brown was the color he was using. I believe he said he fished from Baxter, or the Indians here at Baxter, down to Kimberling City Bridge, and just concentrated where there was some ripple on the water.
And there wasn't much ripple on the water.
No, there wasn't. No. And a lot of guys don't understand is just having enough or just a little bit of ripple, how much difference that'll make to get a bite or not.
Yeah.
If you have just enough ripple, to break up the clarity, it's a lot easier to catch them on something new.
Now I'm kind of old school. I fished a lot of the same baits I've been fishing: ice fishing jig, jig and spoon, a little swim bait. Now the guy I had with me today, he designs a lot of the new stuff for Spro. So he kind of put it to me a little bit. He had me on my knees quite a while calling his fish, and this is a glide bait. Probably similar to, we used to call it the old gay blade. He caught several on this, and this is a spoon that they're going to be coming out with. Now, this stuff's probably not going to be available for a year or so.
Yeah, the spoon, if a guy wanted it, he could get them now. Spro is got those available now. The little blade bait, what's really unique about this, Pete, and I think you could attest to this, one, the hooks, you can crawl it through.
Yeah,
You can-
show them the hooks too. If you notice, it looks like it's missing one of the trebles, but that's designed so you can bring it through stuff without getting that front treble.
And the other thing, that all of us have thrown a blade bait in the Ozarks for, quite some time now, and nobody's ever had one that's like got a real nice custom paint job.
Yeah.
On it. And this bait's going to be available in 6 or 8 colors, and there's a couple colors that this is going to be available in.
Hold that up a little bit so they can see that.
There's a couple colors that this is going to be available in that are really, really known Ozark colors.
Tell me a little bit about the line ties so you can give the bait a different presentation.
Absolutely. So the 3 line ties on the top, based on where you hook it to, it's just going to change the way it wiggles and how it sets in the water. So obviously, the farther you hook it forward, it's going to want to tend to ride more parallel.
So you'd be good for probably vertical
Correct.
fish in there.
The center is going to be very neutral, and the back one's just going to adjust the way the bait's going to run in the
Yeah.
water.
Why don't you show us? You guys also had big bass today. A 6 what?
We had a 620 today.
Largemouth out of 60 foot of water.
Yeah. So our primary baits that we caught all our fish on, everybody here in the Ozarks is used to, jigging a spoon, when they're deep, or, the Rapala ice fishing jigs become really big. But, over the years, I've got a lot of confidence in just a horse head, or spinner head, whatever guys want to call it.
Now is that a Spro bait or
No,
who makes that horse head?
so this horse head here, it is a prototype currently. But what's so unique and where guys mess up, I believe, with a horse head, if you go buy a horse head out of the package, it's going to have a pretty good sized blade on it. Especially when you get up into the 3/8 or the ½ ounce size. One thing I've found to do is put a smaller blade on it.
Okay.
Just the blade's going to turn a little easier.
Won't take as much movement.
Correct.
You won't have to move it as
Correct.
much.
You won't have to move it as much, and the bait will fall a little faster. So if you're trying to get it really down deep, it's going to sink a little quicker. And also just the profile. So many of the fish that you're catching right now throwing up, little tiny.
Yeah, about an
Yeah.
inch and a quarter
Yeah,
long shad.
And something like that with a really small blade on it is going to be more the size of that bait fish.
Yeah.
One thing I found this week, and it appears that you're kind of figured out the same thing, is these fish will bite a boot tail swim bait on a horse head. They'll bite it, but they won't go ahead and eat it. So what we did, when we started practicing and messing around with this stuff, is we put this 3.75 inch big bite jointed jerk minnow on it, and it's more of a fluke style split tail bait. So it doesn't have as much action.
Natural
it's more
shad
natural.
color.
Yeah, it's a more natural shad color. It doesn't have as much action. So this bait, doesn't move a lot of water. It's got a little bit of a blade on it. So what I focused on with this is there's a lot of fish out there over really deep water that are only 15 to maybe 30 foot down. Those fish were the fish that we would target with the horse head. They would come up and get it. You don't want to let it get too close, because if you let it get too close to them, they will shy off from it. If you'll
You're
keep
trying to pull it away from them about the time.
Correct. About the time they're coming up to it, try to get it away from them.
And without live scope, you're not seeing any of this.
Correct.
So you got nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I also have seen, try to keep it about 10 foot above them. If you have live scope or the
Yeah.
capabilities to do it, try to keep it about 10 foot above them. So when you start seeing it sink on your forward facing sonar, try to keep it above them. But here's something that I know a lot of guys aren't doing. Everybody thinks a horse head is a bait that you have to cast and reel in. Nobody that I know of personally.
And now, I don't know if I've ever just basically vertical fished
So-
it or dead stick. Did you?
Correct. So, the Demiki rig has become a really big deal here in the past several years. The horse head can also be a bait that's really, really, really good to fish vertical. What's nice about it is when you tie this on and it sits in the water, it's going to set horizontal, just like a Demiki rig does. But what's cool about this is when you drop it down to the fish, you have a little enticement with the blade.
Yeah.
And then
You give off a little flash.
correct. if you drop it down there and they're not into it, you can lift it. And every time you lift it, that blade's going to turn, and I'll add a little more flash. Just adds a different look that these fish aren't used to using. So if it's not something, or used to seeing, if it's not something that if you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend to give it a shot right now.
And a point that you made that I can't emphasize enough with people when I take them out, even if you don't have live scope, you've got 2D sonar, is keeping that bait above the fish.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the way the bass, their eyes are. They won't go down for a bait. They'll always come up. And if you can make them come that extra 5 or 10 feet, it seems like they don't think about it as much.
Absolutely.
Rather than you dropping it right on their head, if you can drop it down and see it and make them come up that other 5 or 8 feet.
Absolutely. And the other bait that we really caught them good on today, we talked about the Demiki rig just a second ago. So in a sense, is a Demiki
Hold
rig.
that up a little bit.
In a sense, this is a Demiki rig. It's just a 3.75 inch big bite jointed jerk minnow. We have this paired with a 3/8 ounce big bite swimmer head, is what it's called. Both of these baits are available now. All the local retailers in the Ozarks, for the most part, carry these. And what's so great about this swimmer head, and Pete, you can see this, and you guys can see this too on camera, it's got a small hook in it.
Yeah.
So if you're throwing this on 6-8 pound line, you're going to be able to drive that hook into a fish's mouth, where so many other jig heads have way too
Especially
heavy
at that
hook.
depth. I think that's huge.
Absolutely.
Having a fine wire hook because you got line stretch, you down there 50 foot.
Absolutely.
That-
For sure. But that, is in a sense is the rig that's become so popular.
Yeah. Why don't you read us off the results of the weights here? We got one more day to go. Hopefully Justin and Michael will stumble a little bit here, and I'll have a chance to catch up.
Okay, so 1855 is the current leader. Mike McClellan had 1570 today. He caught all those shallow on a rock crawler.
Rock crawler.
We had 3 guys that had the exact same weight.
Yeah.
Pete, one of you, you being included in that group with 1450. 1450. All 3 of those guys, Pete caught them deep. Ryan and Matt, and they caught them on a rock crawler today, and had 14.5 pounds. And then Aaron Stanfield and Carl Carson, they caught them deep as well. So there was a really mixed bag of what guys were able to do. A lot of quality fish weighed in.
A lot of good largemouth.
Yeah, a lot of good largemouth. It seems like there are some largemouth starting to show up again. That seem like they were disappeared.
And something like this, I mean, as much time as I spend on this lake, I actually learned something today too, because with the conditions like they were, I wouldn't have thrown that rock crawler all day.
Absolutely.
But you got to commit yourself to throwing it.
Absolutely.
And like you say, 3 of the guys that are up in the top 5,
Yeah.
all caught them on rock crawler.
Absolutely. And what's so cool about this deal, what we're doing is, we got a lot of prizes and stuff for this.
Yeah.
We got an award for big largemouth.
Yeah.
An award
Big
for
smallmouth.
big smallmouth, big spot or meanmouth.
Plus, we get to try out a lot
Yeah,
of
we
the
get
newest
to-
product.
Yeah, get to try out all the new baits. So
So, I mean, the fishing's really, really good, guys, if you get in the right spot at the right time. I think it's going to continue to get better. I mean, tomorrow, we've got forecasted rain all day.
absolutely.
I'm kind of curious to see what the deep bite will do, but shallow bite's probably definitely going to get a
Yeah,
lot
it
better.
should be a lot better.
Justin, I appreciate you sitting down here with me and doing this. And till next week, good luck, good fishing.